name is Brie, and I am a survivor of the Las Vegas shooting. We're at the concert, the lights were going and the sound and the music is happening, and all of a sudden we hear what we think is firecrackers. And the guy standing in front of me went down, and then the woman standing to the left of us that we had just shared a water bottle with, she was thirsty, she went down, and then all of a sudden other people around us started dropping. And we got down on the ground as well because we still don't quite know what's happening. And then all of a sudden you hear more pop, 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 pops. And we got down, and I look down at the guy that had just been standing in front of us, and there was the most perfect pool of blood around his head. And it kind of struck me at that point that, holy crap, like, I think we're getting shot. And we were stuck getting shot at for several rounds for like 8 minutes of the 11-minute shooting before it was like the crowd parted and enough people had run out. We were just sitting ducks, kind of crawled down on the ground, waiting for an opportunity for us to run. So we finally started running, and I felt a bullet go past my head. And I saw the bullet enter this, it's like everything slowed down around me, and I saw the bullet enter the girl in front of me. I saw it enter her spine, and I am running, and I feel like a really sharp pain in my leg. But I think at that moment there's so much adrenaline going through my body that, like, maybe that's just like a muscle that I've just pulled or something. And in that same kind of moment, I feel another bullet pass through my hair, like just so close to my head. I know that my mom and my aunt are still in the venue, and Jessica, she's saying we have to find my mom. We gotta go find them. They're back in the venue. We have to find them. And a piece of me knew that, like, we were on our own. My mom and my aunt they were okay. I knew in my bones that they were okay, and that they would get out and we would find them somewhere. They would find us and we would find them, and it was just, we were on our own to get out. Jessica was there to save my life. I was there to save Jessica's life, and it was our job to get each other out. It has changed me to my core. I was like a walking corpse for at least 6 months. I was at the top of my class getting ready to graduate university, and the world was my oyster. I had plenty of opportunities for work, and I had all sorts of big plans that I was gonna go, tackle the world and make something incredible happen. And I didn't get to do that. I stopped sleeping. It took me 6 months to sleep with the lights off. I had panic attacks in grocery stores when I would try and leave the house. I had panic attacks in parking lots. I had panic attacks in my car, in the driveway. I had panic attacks in my house. I had panic attacks in bathrooms. You name the spot, I had a panic attack somewhere along there, and I had never experienced this. This literally felt like I was dying. The shooting destroyed me, quite literally. I had to pick up every little piece of myself and try and fix myself. It took me 3 months before I was even able to drive a car because I couldn't focus. The best way to describe who I became after the shooting was I was a walking corpse. I may as well have died in that parking lot that night, because it took me a long time to rebuild myself. The shooting kind of destroyed my life for a bit, and I decided that I wasn't going to let it ruin every day afterwards. My world was flipped upside down. Everything that I had ever thought or knew before died. It was gone. On the day of the shooting, a piece of me died. Whoever I was on that day and before that day was gone. And everything that came after that was a new version of myself that I had to kind of figure out and learn who I was now, because who I was gone before. The thing I wish people knew is that we're not fragile. You can still hang out with us, you can still call us, you can still treat us like you treated us before. You don't have to handle us like we are wrapped up in bubble wrap, even though for a period of time we might be wrapped up in bubble wrap, but eventually we will get over it in our own time, but it cannot be somebody else telling us that we need to get over it. It kind of feels like everybody has a filter up, and we're trying to show our best side of something, and we're a little scared to get deep with people. And when you go through a trauma that, for all intent and purposes, destroys the person that you knew, it's a really uncomfortable thing for people to have to sit through and hear it. And I think it's one of the reasons why so many people tell survivors of any kind of trauma, get over it, move on. I don't think that they're doing it out of any kind of malice in their heart. I don't think that they're supporting in any other way than they think will help. But there's this weird thing of when we travel through trauma to trying to get to that other side of the tunnel, and it makes people uncomfortable having to hear about it over and over and over again. I can only speak for myself when I say, when I start talking about what happened to me in Vegas, there's something in my brain that will not shut off until I finish telling the story. And if you've heard that story once, if you've heard that story twice, even, maybe it's kind of exciting and thrilling in its own way. But when you're a friend or a family member that has to hear that story over and over and over again to the point where it feels like you're there, and it's really uncomfortable to hear that. And when your friend is in it, it feels a little bit different. I would advise you to talk about it. I would advise you to be loud when you talk about it. Tell anybody that will listen whatever you feel comfortable talking about, when you feel comfortable talking about it. There is no shame to be held in going through what you went through. A lot of people are not going to understand it, and that's something that we need to be grateful for. However, there are a lot of us that do understand what you're going through, what you will go through, and you should reach out and ask for help. Eventually, you should get in to see a trauma therapist. If you don't like your therapist, if you don't feel comfortable talking to them, get a new one. But above all else, you're not alone.
To hear more from other survivors, visit the Supporting Mass Shooting Survivors website.